All right, everybody, welcome to Fantasy Football Live with the Fantasy Sports Boss. It is Monday, October 30th, Halloween Eve, October 30th, 2023. And needless to say, a lot of NFL trade deadline rumors. And of course, the deadline comes tomorrow on Halloween. We already had a trade done today. The New York Giants throwing in the towel officially on their season, trading pass rushing defensive tackle Leonard Williams to the Seattle Seahawks. And they actually got a decent return, a second round pick in 2024 and a fifth round pick in 2025. They also get cap relief, getting out from under Leonard Williams' contract. So, now the question is like, who else goes? Is Saquon Barkley a possibility? What's going to happen with Derrick Henry in Tennessee as they welcome in the Will Levis era to smashing success against a stout Atlanta Falcons defense yesterday? Going to go through all the games. Wasn't able to do it last night. I had a lot going on last night, so I wasn't able to. Nothing bad. I just got behind on some things I had to do. So I wasn't able to get on for the second stream, but I am going to go over the box scores and talk about some more, I had a hair on my nose. Sorry. Some more crisis point candidates. And we have a lot, starting with Tony Pollard. I mean, the Dallas Cowboys absolutely take the Rams out to the woodshed, put up an insane amount of points. And Tony Pollard, I believe only 6+ PPR fantasy points and just a complete dud of a game for him. Calvin Ridley bounced back, as I said he would. He had a decent game for Jacksonville, so that was good to see. Of course, we have the injuries, none bigger than Kirk Cousins going down for the season. And this has massive ramifications in terms of fantasy football. And I am seeing and hearing now rumors that Ryan Tannehill could be on the move to Minnesota, especially now that the Titans, basically are beginning the Will Levis era, and they can't not go back to him now this Thursday after such an amazing debut. And we're going to go into that as well. But Ryan Tannehill could be a fit now for the Minnesota Vikings. And if you're a Justin Jefferson owner like myself, you need an incentive for him to come back and play. He's heading toward free agency, lots of money at stake. He doesn't want to be playing with a quarterback, whether it's Jaron Hall, the rookie from BYU, or Nick Mullins. He doesn't want to be playing with a quarterback that's going to be throwing him into coverage and some big hits and whatnot. So, you want to say it's selfish. He's looking out for his own interest. That is his right as a player. It'll be interesting to see what happens. The Vikings have to do something. And I think Tannehill's really the only name out there. So we'll have to see. As far as Amon-Ra St. Brown, he is expected to play tonight. So, and there was really no doubt about it. I mean, listen, I think especially what happened with the Bijan Robinson situation in Atlanta, teams are being more careful now about just throwing everybody on the list so that they don't get investigated. The Falcons are being investigated for the Bijan Robinson fiasco from a couple of weeks ago. And I think, just to be safe, teams are putting guys on the injury report, even if they're sick and there's a flu that's going around the NFL. A lot of players have been sick. Michael Thomas played through it yesterday for the Saints. He also was questionable with the flu. But Amon-Ra St. Brown is not going to sit out this game. So, and I really needed him to sit out because in my friends and family league that I'm 5-2, I'm now going to be 5-3 after a 5-0 start. Like, it's just absolutely brutal. I put up as of now, I have the second highest point total of the week, but my opponent has Josh Jacobs and Amon-Ra tonight. I'm only up by 16 and change, so I'm going to lose, right? So now I'm going to be 5-3, and it's, it could be very well be 5-4. So the whole season is spiraling out of control because I cannot overcome all of these injuries. In that league, I lost Darren Waller to a hamstring. I've already lost Mike Williams for the season. James Conner's on my IR. David Montgomery's on my IR. Justin Jefferson's on my IR. I had CeeDee Lamb out last week on a bye. Like, I just can't plug the holes, these injury holes, quick enough. It's just not happening. So, and I've also had the misfortune of playing two of the better teams last couple of weeks. Now, my work league, on the other hand, I'm going to be 7-1, and I got high score this week, so I got a little monetary reward for that. My team went absolutely ballistic. In my friends and family league, Austin Eckler had a good game. So Austin Eckler was a good good comeback game for him, although it really just came in the passing game. The Chargers still can't run the football. They continue to underachieve and really frustrate their owners. Even Keenan Allen, like the targets are still there, but he's not putting up the fantasy points that he did earlier in the season when Mike Williams was healthy. So, we're just gonna have to see. Grind on stuff down 104.79. Gibbs and Laporta. You have Gibbs and Laporta. He's got St. Brown. I don't think you're gonna win this matchup. No, I don't see it. I'm going to be 5-3. Unbelievable. And Chris Olave, you mentioned Chris Olave. Chris Olave absolutely is one of the crisis point candidates this week. Instead of doing separate videos, I was going to discuss them on here as part of the live stream. But what I wanted to do is start with the Will Levis situation. All right. And as far as the trade deadline, so the Giants, just to put a bow on that, the Giants did say they are not, again today, not trading Saquon Barkley. They're going to have to get blown away. And to me, this just doesn't make any sense. And Daniel Jones was clear to return. He is going to play this week, thank God. So no Tommy DeVito. But, I guess they think they owe it to Daniel Jones. He's got his money now. He's got his contract. But Saquon Barkley could fetch them something decent, probably another second-round pick, which they got in the Leonard Williams deal. It makes no sense that they won't trade him. As far as Tennessee, listen, they just won a game in impressive fashion over Atlanta Falcons team that came in with a winning record. Now they have Will Levis. And I think, if it was Ryan Tannehill at quarterback and they won that game, I think maybe they still would listen more intently. But I think that they won the game. They're playing Thursday night. They want to help out Levis. They're not going to trade Derrick Henry. So, any of you Tyjae Spears owners, and you still hold on to Tyjae Spears, but it's not looking like a deal is going to get consummated. And also, you have the Denver Broncos situation where Sean Payton said he doesn't imagine there being any trades, i.e. Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy, who both come off a touchdown catch in a massive upset against the Kansas City Chiefs. And, I heard somebody talk about this today. Every single NFL team scored a touchdown. Every team except the Kansas City Chiefs. So every team scored a touchdown Sunday and Sunday night, and the only team that didn't was the Kansas City Chiefs. So, all right, the Falcons trading for Eagles defensive tackle Kendavius Street, late round pick swap. So the Falcons are picking up some. I never even heard of this guy. Kendavius Street. So that's who's going to the Atlanta Falcons. So small deal, but again, some deals are getting made now. And as far as the Falcons are concerned, they are not committed yet to, as far as Desmond Ridder at quarterback. Taylor Heineke gave them a spark. Drake London has a little bit of a groin issue. Don't know what his status is. So we have that question mark to concern ourselves with. But it looks like Taylor Heineke could get a chance to start this week. So lots of quarterback turmoil. And we didn't even touch on Matthew Stafford yet. So Stafford does not have a broken thumb, but just like with Justin Fields, and already Justin Fields has been rolled out for week 9. And we saw Tyson Bagent come back to earth in a really ugly performance for the Chicago Bears last night. And, DJ Moore is being dragged down into the muck as well. And Fields is going to miss his 3rd straight game. Matthew Stafford, there are rumblings he could go on the IR, even though it's not a broken thumb. At the very least, I don't think he plays this week because they have the bye in week 10. So that would give Stafford a couple of weeks to get himself ready for week 11. So Brett Rippon would move into his place. And that spells trouble for Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua. And we'll start with Cooper Kupp today in terms of a crisis point. So Cooper Kupp, single digit, I believe 6 and change PPR fantasy points each of the last 2 weeks. Not since 2019 did he put back-to-back single digit PPR performances before. So it just speaks to how awesome he's been since that time. But this is a problem for both Kupp and more so Puka Nacua. So if you have Brett Rippon, and we've seen Brett Rippon, with the Denver Broncos, he's just not a good passer. They're going to lean heavily on the running game with Darrell Henderson, and the cast of characters they have there. I think, I think Cooper Kupp can still maintain a decent target share. Obviously, not anywhere near what he would have with Matthew Stafford. But Puka Nacua, the 2 of the last 3 weeks now haven't been good for Puka Nacua. And this is what we feared when Cooper Kupp came back. Well, that's starting to manifest itself. And it's even going to go to the point now where if Brett Rippon starts week 9, I think Nacua is a possible bench guy. You might think, oh, you're crazy. How do you bench Puka Nacua after all he's done? Well, you got Brett Rippon at quarterback. I don't think he's going to be able to support 2 receivers. It's probably going to be Cooper Kupp that has the fantasy-friendly numbers, and they're going to lean on the run game. At best, I think Puka Nacua is a flex. So this is a problem for both of those guys. Now, Cooper Kupp's going to be just fine, and so is Nacua when Stafford comes back. So if he goes on IR, that's a negative for sure, a decent negative. But we're not there yet. I think long-term, though, Cooper Kupp will be okay. And same thing with Nacua as long as Stafford comes back. But the immediate fallout from Stafford's injury is that Nacua is a flex at best player. Cooper Kupp drops to low-end wide receiver 2. Would you trade Russ and Connor for Lamar in a 20-man? I got Russ at QB, JT and Jones at running back. Yeah, I think I would do that. So I made a, I guess you could call it a desperation trade in my sinking friends and family league that's now has me going to 5-3. So the AJ Brown owner in my league made me an offer today. He wanted Jalen Hurts because he wants the Brown Hurts stack and Josh Palmer, and he offers me Lamar Jackson and Garrett Wilson. Now, mind you, I'm starting Josh Palmer, Josh Downs, Tank Dell, CeeDee Lamb. Those are my receivers, right? I don't want to trade Jalen Hurts, though. He's been so good. Lamar Jackson's been a little bit more inconsistent. Hurts has about 30-something more points in fantasy, but I actually did the trade. So I'm getting Lamar and Garrett Wilson, and Wilson's going to be my second wideout. I also have Tyler Lockett. I can't make up for Justin Jefferson, but I think this gives me the better opportunity to have a shot the next couple of weeks. And the best part is, and he didn't pick up on this, the guy who made me that offer, I play him in week 10. Jalen Hurts is on the bye that week. So I was thinking, oh my God, I'm not going to have Jalen Hurts that week. Well, he's not going to have Jalen Hurts that week. So that's going to help me. So I traded Jalen Hurts this afternoon for Lamar Jackson and Garrett Wilson. I think it's a good trade. I'd rather have Hurts, but he also hardly ran the ball. So that's the thing. Jalen Hurts did it all through the air yesterday and only ran, I think, for like 4 or 5 yards. And he was limping. So that knee is a problem. And that's why I ultimately did it, is because I think the running might be negatively impacted going forward. All right, we have a $4.99 super chat from Rain Young. Thank you, Rain, as always. I'm down 6. I have Amon-Ra and Laporta playing. An opponent has Jacobs. So you see, I'm playing Jacobs and Amon-Ra tonight. I'm only up 16, so I'm going down in that friends and family league. See, the problem I'm worried about is Amon-Ra if he's on a snap count, but I think you're just fine because you're up 6 and you also have Sam Laporta. And he has Jacobs, who hasn't been very good. And the Detroit run defense has been solid. So I think you're going to be just fine in this game. Even if Amon-Ra is on a snap share or snap count, I think Laporta then is just going to step up in his place and catch a lot of passes. So I don't think you have any reason to worry. Hey, Boozy, how are you? And again, Rain, thank you for that super chat. I really appreciate it. Keep 2, Purdy, Fields, and Murray. Are you talking with Kyler Murray? Okay. The last 2. Purdy's starting to get a little bit exposed. The last couple of weeks he's throwing a lot of interceptions and they're not playing well. Trade Hollywood Rice and Pacheco for Stephon. That's a lot. That's a little bit too much. Don't forget, Boozy, Hollywood's going to get Kyler Murray back and he's going to cook. Tony Pollard. Let's talk about Tony Pollard. So that's the next crisis point guy I wanted to talk about today. And then we'll get to Aaron Jones because Josh just asked me about that. And as far as Jacoby Myers, Josh, 13.5, I think should be doable, especially if they fall behind early. I think you're okay with that one. Now, Tony Pollard. Let me pull up that box score. I had the Will Levis. Well, I'll talk about Will Levis in a second. We have a lot to do today. The Dallas. Let me get to the Dallas game. Where is it here? Dallas. All right. So 43-20. Let's say you're a Tony Pollard owner, right? And you watch no football. You go to check on your fantasy team and you're like, holy crap, 43 points. Tony Pollard must have had an absolute day. And then you look and you see that he has 53 yards on the ground, no touchdowns, and just a single catch for 2 yards. What the fuck? Like, seriously, what is going on here? Tony Pollard is doing absolutely nothing. Couple of things are happening here. One is that I was concerned about Tony Pollard not being able to physically handle a full workload of carries. He's a smaller back. And I think that his heavy workload, especially in September, is starting to manifest itself now in some, not so great. I mean, he's only averaging a little bit more than 4 yards per carry. 4.4 yesterday, not great. He's not involved in the passing game either. So can you chalk this up to the change in coordinators? Absolutely. Because, you had a coordinator last year who emphasized throwing to the running backs, right? You had him absolutely emphasizing throwing to the running backs. Now he's in Los Angeles with the Chargers, and they're throwing 8-9 passes a game to Austin Eckler. Mike McCarthy is taking over the play calling, and he's not throwing to his running backs. Now, is that by design? Possibly. Okay. McCarthy does like to run the ball, but they have given Pollard a decent amount of carries, and nobody else really behind him is getting a lot of work, but it's just not working. The Dallas offensive line is aging. Tyron Smith's hurt again. It's not as effective as it was, 5 years ago. And I think what also happened here is after some sluggish weeks, McCarthy realized, I got to get the ball to CeeDee Lamb. And my God, he was the best player in fantasy yesterday, CeeDee Lamb. I think it was 43 fantasy points, 2 touchdowns, just ridiculous, silly numbers. And look at the results. They beat a tough Rams team 43-20. And McCarthy's, even though he can be stubborn, he's seeing this saying, we're going to have to go with this going forward. This is the most optimal way, especially with the Eagles coming up. This is the optimal way for them to operate this offense. Would you trade Ridley for either Marquise Brown, Josh Downs, Deontay, or T. Higgins? I probably would do it for Marquise Brown because, again, when Kyler Murray comes back, it's going to be sweet music. And I'll talk about Hockenson when I talk about Kirk Cousins. So, as far as Purdy, I still like Fields and Murray because they run, and Purdy doesn't. So, Tony Pollard, I think he'll be okay. I'm not, long term, they're going to realize they got to get him more involved. So far, he's holding up physically. I haven't heard anything in terms of injuries and whatnot. But it has been ugly. There's no doubt about it. But I think we need to be a little patient with it. CeeDee Lamb obviously had a game. I think they're going to have to get Pollard certainly involved against the Eagles. Now, in what's expected to be a very, very high-scoring game against the Eagles, if Pollard is not involved again, then it's time to sound the alarms for sure. Pat Mahomes, man. Pat Mahomes, supposedly he went to a baseball game, the World Series or whatever, the day before. I don't know if this is true or not, but he was also sick, hooked up to an IV, and played like ass. He played like total ass yesterday. And the Broncos knock off the Kansas City Chiefs. So just crazy. And they were the only team in the NFL not to score a touchdown, the Kansas City Chiefs, the only team. So if you did a parlay on that, of all teams, the Chiefs were the only team not to do it. I'm down. I'll keep 2. Pollard, JT, Pacheco. You're doing keepers already, huh? I'd say Pacheco and Pollard because they have the workload. JT's still splitting with Zach Jones. What was I talking about now? I forgot. I'm down 13 with Myers and Gibbs to play, and he has Adams. Can we get it done? I think 13. That's gonna be close. I think you could because Gibbs is gonna get a lot of work today. Pick up Levis to start this week. Trade Puka for Pollard. You could trade Puka for Pollard, especially if Stafford is gonna be out for a while. Oh, and thank you, Boozy. Pick up Levis and start this week. Have Fields and IR. Also drop in Pierce and Madison. Drop Dameon Pierce. We're beyond that point now. And yes, I would pick up Levis. Attend the few next year. You don't have to do that, Boozy, but I really appreciate that. So let's get to the Will Levis thing. Deontay Johnson or Rice. I still like Rice. And listen, we got to just throw out that Chiefs game. I mean, it is what it is. Just throw it out. All right, so Will Levis, 28-23 over the Atlanta Falcons yesterday. And wow, I mean, so much for the rumors that Malik Willis and Will Levis were going to split work. It was a debut to remember for Will Levis. 19 of 29, 238, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, and he ran for 11 yards on 7 carries. So, listen, Will Levis, and it's funny because when leading up to the NFL draft, there were a lot of reports he was going to be the first quarterback taken, right? A lot of media outlets ran with it. Like there was legitimate reports that, okay, Will Levis is going to be that first guy off the board. Even though, he had inconsistencies in college with Kentucky, but the absolute cannon of an arm. We're talking like Jay Cutler arm strength and also athleticism. He can run with the football. He's got good speed. So you're talking about, and it's ironic because he's on the same team, a stronger arm Ryan Tannehill. That's what Will Levis is. And here's the other thing. So how does Will Levis come out and throw 4 touchdowns against a solid Atlanta Falcons defense? Well, he played in an NFL-style attack in college. Kentucky runs a pro-style attack. So there's no spread. These guys that come from the spread don't always do well initially in the NFL. But Levis operated an NFL-type system in college. So that greatly reduced the learning curve for him. And he was awesome. He balled the hell out yesterday. Like it was that good. Angelo, I would say Engram for sure, especially after what happened with Minnesota. And Josh, your team looks great. I don't think there's any issue there. I mean, tight end maybe, but that's pretty much it. I mean, that's a possible winner you got there. But yeah, Will Levis. And how about DeAndre Hopkins? So DeAndre Hopkins is just slumming along this entire season. 4 catches for 128, 32 a catch, 3 touchdowns. And you're welcome, Angelo. It's mind-boggling what we saw yesterday. And this is why the NFL is just great, because you see stuff like this that comes out of left field. Now, I have to be honest with you. As far as the way I evaluated Will Levis, I wasn't overly high on him. I had C.J. Stroud firmly ahead of him. And, same thing with Bryce Young. But I have to tell you that Will Levis, the tools are apparent. They're very impressive. Again, the arm is just silly. He's already probably got the strongest arm in the entire NFL. And I'm not just saying that either. Like that's how strong his arm is. Now he's got accuracy issues. He wasn't the most accurate player in college, but as a runner, if you don't have accuracy and you're a stationary pocket passer, you're in trouble. If you're a runner, that helps mitigate that struggle to a degree. And Levis can pick up 20, 30 yards a game on the ground. So I think he absolutely is a priority pickup this week. And it's funny, I said it on one stream. I said, leading into the start, I said, pick him up. Pick him up now. You never know. Pick him up ahead of time, because if he bombs out like he did, like if he balls out rather like he did, then you don't have to fight waivers. And, I did talk up the fact that he's a good athlete. I didn't pick him up. I didn't take my own advice because I already have 2 quarterbacks on both of my rosters, so I didn't need to do that. But if you're down Justin Fields, if you're suddenly down Kirk Cousins, why not, right? After what we saw there. So it's impressive. It really is impressive. Now, as far as this game too, Derrick Henry ran for 101 yards. I think you hold Henry, Angelo. He's getting a lot of work. Bijan Robinson, 11 carries for 62 and a score. Luckily, he scored there in this one. But yeah, the Titans look good. And I think that win was the worst thing. If you're a Titans fan and you were looking for this team to rebuild, that was the worst thing that could have possibly happened yesterday, because now they're not going to trade Derrick Henry. Now, in terms of Bijan Robinson, there's a lot going on in this game. So again, I think it's like 5 of the last 6 games, he's been either single digits or in the low teens. So it has not been a good stretch at all for Bijan Robinson. He did not catch a single pass yesterday. And if not for scoring that touchdown, only 11 carries in the game. He did have 62 yards, 5.6 a pop, but it was a disappointing game for him again. And this has been the theme. September was gangbusters. October, Very, very disappointing for Bijan Robinson. But again, that's Arthur Smith for you, right? So, Drake London 5 for 55 before he got hurt. Okay, not bad. Kyle Pitts only 3 for 35. It's not getting any better, the situation there. All right, let's talk about the Minnesota game now. 24-10. So the Vikings are 4-4, right? They've won 3 in a row. They're getting themselves in position now to challenge for a playoff spot in a weak NFC. So, and yes, you hold Spears, absolutely hold Spears, because again, even if Derrick Henry gets hurt, you still have a top guy. And yes, I would say D-Hop is back for the time being. So Kirk Cousins, 23 of 31, 2 touchdowns, no picks, and then disaster strikes. It looked bad from the moment it happened. I did a couple of videos on it right away. The team pretty much right off the bat said they fear Achilles. And just remember this for next time. When a team comes out that day, just about an hour after the game ends, and says that they fear an Achilles, it's an Achilles, all right? This is an injury that's obvious. Anybody that's ever torn an Achilles tendon, your foot basically is flopping because the tendon that's connected to your heel snaps. So there's no mystery to that. That's why we knew right away that this was going to be a major, major issue. The fallout, like I said at the beginning of the show, is absolutely immense. Justin Jefferson, does he come back now? Anybody that has stashed him this whole time, hoping he comes back motivated, I don't know if that's possible now. Do they trade for Ryan Tannehill? Do they trade for Jacoby Brissett? The Commanders, Sam Howell played his balls off yesterday. They don't need Jacoby Brissett. Jacoby Brissett was brought in as a hedge in case Howell didn't work out. And guys, I said it all summer, draft Sam Howell. I will definitely take a bow on that one. I know I missed on some other guys, but that was one that I'm definitely proud of, because from the very beginning, I thought he was going to be really good, and he's justified it. But now, the Vikings too, the running game. Alexander Mattison, 16 carries for 31 yards. He's been complete dog shit. Cam Akers, 9 for 19. He had the touchdown. Just pathetic. And this was against a Green Bay Packer defense that doesn't stop the run. It was just an embarrassing, horrendous, pathetic, whatever you want to call it, performance by the Minnesota Viking running game. And then Jordan Addison, 7 for 82, another touchdown. He has been money scoring touchdowns this year. Last 2 weeks, he's gone nuclear. What happens now? The deep passing game gets neutered with Jaren Hall at quarterback. Now, Nick Mullins, that's about the best thing we can expect right now. We need to hope. And yes, I would drop Alexander Mattison. We need to hope. You know what? Case Keenum, Ed, it wouldn't be the worst. We've seen Case Keenum really, do some decent enough things. And he played there before as well. The deep passing game is going to be completely neutralized now. Now, TJ Hawkinson, I think, can still be a top 6, 7 tight end, not top 3. A tight end, short to intermediate passes, I think that's what's going to rule the day. So I'm not as concerned about Hawkinson, right? I wouldn't go out panicking trying to sell low on Hawkinson. But Jordan Addison, maybe you have a tiny window. Talk up the fact he's been great the last couple of weeks, but it's going to be bad for him. KJ Osborne off an 8 for 99 game. Same thing with him. It's going to be real trouble for them going forward. If you receive a trade offer to send Brian Robinson and receive Sutton, would you accept it? I guess. If you need a wideout, I would. I don't like either player, to be honest with you. All right, so Green Bay Packers, I've seen enough with Jordan Love. They are now 2-5. Jordan Love, the decent first couple of weeks he had completely gone by the wayside, a touchdown and a pick. He's barely completing over 50% of his throws. And here's another case, guys, of somebody who had accuracy issues in college that has not been able to improve that at the NFL level. He did run for 34 yards, but the biggest story here is the continued bullshit with Aaron Jones, 7 carries for 29 yards, 4.1. A.J. Dillon, 6 carries for 11 yards. What are we doing here? What are we doing here? Jones looked okay. He caught 4 passes for 17 yards. Is the hamstring still that much of an issue 7 weeks later? I mean, this team is sinking into the abyss, and they're not giving their best player on offense an opportunity. I'm stuck with him. Luckily, he's on my work league that I'm 7-1, or I'd be going ballistic right now. And here's another thing. Christian Watson, I told you all not to draft him. He was this year's Deebo Samuel. Last year was Deebo. I told you, scream to the rafters, don't draft Deebo Samuel. This year was Christian Watson. Jordan Love cannot get him the football. 3 for 33 yesterday. This team is an absolute disgrace offensively right now. It is that bad. Christian Watson, told you don't draft him. And look what's going on right now. Absolutely pathetic, this team. There's no other way to look at it. One of my leagues, I see Deebo went for Addison. The guy wanted Addison. I mean, Deebo at least is coming back with a competent offense. 37 from Laporte and Sun God. Might be pushing it. Not sure. It's going to be close. That might be asking a lot, though. Dylan, Roschon, Singletary. Gosh, I mean, Ed. Singletary, maybe? Yeah, right. Aaron Jones. Right, Kev. I mean, listen, I can't stop with the Aaron Jones because it's so infuriating. Like, he's a really good player. Matt LaFleur, I think him and Arthur Smith talk to each other after the game. Like, how could we piss off the fantasy football community this week? Right? Oh, I'm going to give Aaron Jones 7 carries. All right, perfect. I'm not going to throw a pass to Bijan Robinson. I mean, like, what are we doing here? I'm really going next year. If Arthur Smith's the coach, I'm not drafting any Atlanta Falcon. I don't care if Bijan Robinson is looking at me in round 4. I'm not taking him. And Aaron Jones, who I've loved forever, I have a soft spot for him. Enough. Chris Olave. There's another one. Derek Carr cannot throw down the field anymore. He looks shot. He did throw 2 touchdowns. It's all short, intermediate stuff. So, listen, if you're a Chris Olave owner, 5 for 46, that's about as good as you're going to get. He's got 1 touchdown, I believe, on the season. Michael Thomas, who every game, the first drive, catches 3 passes, and then he does nothing the rest of the game. 4 for 68. I mean, and then you have Rashid. If you're a Chris Olave owner and you're a Michael Thomas owner, and then you look, Rashid comes in, 3 targets, 153 yards, and a touchdown. I mean, this game just pisses you off sometimes, let me tell you. I mean, my God. And how about Alvin Kamara, man? 17 for 59. He can't run the ball, but he scores. And 4 catches for 51 yards and another score. And I got to play this guy this week with a 5-3 team that was once 5-0. I mean, Jesus. Alvin Kamara. I mean, Derek Carr loves the short passing. He can't throw it down the field. If you're an Olave owner, you're in trouble. On the bright side, Josh Downs continues to ball out, 7 for 72. This guy's been a real find. And Michael Pittman is this year's Tyler Lockett / DK Metcalf of last year as a receiver that we all faded because of the questions at quarterback. And he went 8 for 40 and another touchdown. Michael Pittman has been a target monster. The best thing that happened to him was Anthony Richardson getting hurt. And so Taysom Hill, I talked to you guys a couple of weeks ago. So some jackass troll got on to me 3 weeks ago, ironically. Actually, no, it was a week ago where Hill came off 2 really good games and said, oh, this guy's picks. It was my Taysom Hill to the moon preseason video. Oh, this guy's picks age just as good as moldy cheese or whatever he said. And then he goes out yesterday, 9 for 63 on the ground, 2 touchdowns. Threw a pass for 44 yards and caught a pass. So, you know what? F you, whoever that was. Because Taysom Hill is carrying many teams right now at the tight end position, which a tight end position has been very disappointing. And, this week for me, I just lost Darren Waller. My choice is, do I pick up Hill or do I get the kid in Arizona, McBride? I mean, that was unbelievable what McBride did yesterday. Let's go to that game. Arizona playing in garbage time, coming from behind. Trey McBride, who caught 90 passes his final collegiate season at Colorado State, goes 10 for 95 and a touchdown. This is a team that throws the second highest amount of passes to their tight end. Zach Ertz is out for another 3 weeks, maybe longer. McBride right there with Levis, priority pickup this week. Excuse me. Yeah, I mean, Olave, I agree with you as far as him being a wide receiver. 3 and 5, I took McBride out. Yeah, so you know what? I had McBride on both of my rosters, and I cut him before the game. So I'm the dipshit that cut him in both leagues because I had a crunch that I needed to pick somebody up, and he was like the guy I decided to dump, and I look like an asshole for doing that. Yeah, Taysom Hill, listen, he's still touchdown dependent, but at tight end, that's fine. You know, all tight ends are pretty much, not named Kelsey and Andrews, are tight end dependent. Still have Josh Jacobs, Devontae Adams, and Jacoby Myers. Wow, you have all three of the Raiders? You might want to break that up, Johnny. PPR, who do you trying to maximize my points? That's a tough one. I would say Adams because I think they're going to fall behind. They're going to have to pass to catch up. Taysom Hill's complete wild card. Yeah, you know what? The problem with Taysom Hill is, right, he's had 3 good weeks in a row. You pick him up off waivers this week, you put him in, and he's going to do nothing. You know what? It's not an issue of talent with Olave. It's can his quarterback get him the football? That's the issue. Can his quarterback get him the football? All right, as far as Jahan Dotson, let's go to that game. All right. Man, I mean, Sam Howell has absolutely torched the Eagles this season in both games. He was my favorite quarterback sleeper of the summer. Very proud of the guy. 39 of 52, 397, 4 touchdowns and a pick. He took 1 sack. Like, listen, this team has a lot of offensive weapons. You know, not only Terry McLaurin, who's been great the last 3 weeks, and he went 5 for 63 in the score, but now you have Jahan Dotson, 8 for 108 in the score. Always has a knack for getting into the end zone. Big red zone target. And then Logan Thomas, 6 of 44 and a touchdown himself. He's another tight end that you could pick up this week. So they have weapons. Like, it's all legit. All of it. You know, for the longest time, Terry McLaurin needs a quarterback. I think he has one now. And Howell propped up 3 pass catchers on the Commanders yesterday. You know, I mentioned Jalen Hurts, 4 carries for 6 yards, and he was limping around yesterday. Anybody saw that game, and he lit it up passing-wise. But that's part of the reason why I traded him in that Lamar Jackson, Garrett Wilson deal, because I'm a little bit worried about his durability going forward, and he misses games every year. He hasn't missed any yet, but I think he's starting to get beat up. And listen, what else can you say about A.J. Brown? 8 for 130, 2 more scores. Devontae Smith, 7 for 99 to score. Dallas Goedert was left behind, 4 for 36. You know, Julio Jones, 1 catch for 8 yards and went for a touchdown. But A.J. Brown is a league winner right now. I got him in round 2 in my work league, and him more than anything is the reason I'm 7-1. But A.J. Brown has been unbelievable. Fantasy MVP territory right now. If we were casting ballots, him and Tyreek Hill would be right near the top. Gino's my QB. I have Murray on IR. Should I use waiver on Will Levis? No, you don't need to. You don't need to. You're protected there with Murray. Drop Roshan Spears or Charbonnet for Fournette. Yeah, so that's the other thing. I don't think, you know, if you want to drop Charbonnet, maybe. So Leonard Fournette signs with the Buffalo Bills. Now, if you're a James Cook owner, this is not what you want to see. This is not what you want to see, folks. James Cook is a pass receiving back who's not getting goal line work. Now you add Leonard Fournette, who was a top 12 running back in PPR last year. He struggled running the ball, and that's really not going to be the thing. He's going to get a handful of carries here. But he could be a goal line back. He could take that job from Latavius Murray, and we know he is a tremendous receiver. He could easily play on 3rd down. So this is not good. If you're a James Cook owner, right this very moment is when you want to try to trade him. All right, do not start any Commanders players if you don't have to. I disagree, Anthony. Absolutely disagree. I think if the matchup is right, this is a passing offense. and it's working. Devonta Smith on my bench, he played well. Yeah, listen, Johnny, this is what's going to happen. It's a very restricted target tree. It's a very run-heavy Eagles offense. So it's going to be Goddard, out of Brown, Goddard, and Smith. 2 of the 3 are going to flash every week. This time it just so happened to be Smith and not Goddard. It's going to be A.J. Brown every week. So Smith and Goddard are going to trade that spot. So, it's going to be hard to nail down when it's going to happen as far as Devonta Smith and those smash weeks are concerned. I think Tyreek Hill is going to get those 2,000 yards. I really do. I really, really do. Still on with Lamb in his amazing game. Yeah, amazing. They can't go back on it now. CeeDee Lamb, this is what they needed to do from week 1. Yeah, A.J. Brown is a monster. And listen, he was pissed off after the first couple of weeks, and he made it known to the coaching staff that, listen, I want the ball. I need the ball. And he's been unstoppable. CMC, A.J. Brown, Jalen Hurts, basically yeah, I mean, that's as good of a trade as you're going to get. All right, so what else about that game? DeAndre Swift was solid, and, he continues to play well. Justin Jefferson, you got to keep him. You got to see it out, Joe. You can't do anything. Nobody's going to buy him now anyway. Puka, yeah, South, as long as Stafford comes back, they'll be fine. I'm not worried about that. Oh, let's look at Carolina. So it took all of 8 weeks for Miles Sanders to lose his job. I mean, Jesus. They gave him all that money in that contract, and he is absolute garbage. This game against Houston featured 2 of the biggest running back busts there is this year in Dameon Pierce, him of 12 carries for 46 yards, and Miles Sanders, who didn't even get a single carry in this game. Actually, he got 2 for 0 yards. Chuba Hubbard, listen, Hubbard wasn't good, 15 for 28. In a PPR league, he's only a flex, talking about Chuba Hubbard, but this game was ugly all the way around. Nico Collins, Tank Dell did nothing. Adam Thielen got, 8 for 72. That's Adam Thielen's doing Adam Thielen things. But Tank Dell really disappointed me. And I was completely wrong about Tank Dell. I thought he was going to have a big game. They used him in the running game. It just did not go well for him at all. I was 100% wrong on that for sure. Yeah, the Giants, listen, they've thrown in a towel. They're going to trade Adoree Jackson. It's only a matter of time. Why wouldn't they trade Saquon? I mean, trade him to Baltimore. Baltimore Ravens, I think, would give them a second-round pick. I know they want to give Daniel Jones help. I get it. It's over. It's over. They're not going to re-sign him. They're going to probably try to tag him again. He's going to flip out. It's over. It took him 1 million carries to get over 100 yards yesterday. He doesn't have that speed and that explosion anymore. It's gone. There's no reason not to make that trade. Rice will play next week against Miami. Yeah, and that Miami KC game is going to be scary for points. Everybody, if you're playing a Dolphin or a Chief player this week, you're in deep shit because they're going to go up and down. This is going to be Chiefs, Rams. A couple of years ago, Monday Night Football, Jared Goff, Pat Mahomes, 5 passing touchdowns each. It's going to be that kind of game. My suck of the week, Tony Pollard's got to be up there for sure. Listen, Trevor Lawrence, guys, and he's not a suck of the week, but it's just not happening. I was wrong about him too. I really thought he had arrived. With all of these pass receivers he's got, he's been bad, right? Travis Etienne carrying this offense, and Travis Etienne is a league winner. So much for all that Tank Bigsby talk in the preseason. It's Travis Etienne is owning fantasy football right now at the running back position. He's doing it all. He's scoring 1 million touchdowns, getting targets, all of it. Very disappointing, Anthony. And I'm shocked at how disappointing he is. He can run. He's got all of these targets. And speaking of targets, Calvin Ridley, I said they were going to make a concerted effort to get him the ball, and they did. 6 for 83. Evan Ingram, 10 for 88. Not scoring touchdowns, but he has been unbelievable. Christian Kirk was left behind, 4 for 46. So just like with the Eagles, even though they pass it at a higher rate, out of Ingram, Ridley, Kirk, only 2 of them are going to flash each week. All right. Okay. We got breaking news, guys. Not a trade. Cardinals coach Jonathan Gannon said that either Kyler Murray or Clayton Tune will start Sunday. So not Josh Dobbs, who's been benched. So here we go. Initially, I think yesterday they said no, Kyler Murray's not playing. And now it's between Murray and Tune. There is no way they can start Clayton Tune. That's complete BS. Go get Marquise Brown and do it today. All right, here we go. Now I have a prime trade chip because I have him in both of my leagues. And I'm excited to see what he can do in this offense with Trey McBride. So now Trey McBride, guys, becomes an even more. He might be the number one waiver get this week. Nobody's playing better than Travis Etienne right now at the running back position. I'm sorry. All right. And how about Gus Edwards? You know, if you're a Lamar Jackson owner yesterday, you had to be pulling your hair out of your head seeing Gus Edwards score 3 touchdowns, right? I mean, he's a limited player. Don't overreact to that. You know, he's just a runner. He's a fairly good runner. But I'm not running out getting Gus Edwards if he's available. It's a dangerous defense, but they wanted to get a look, get a firm look at him before they make a decision on the draft. You can put Mahomes in a suck of the week. Yes, there you go. I agree with you on Mahomes. Start Dameon Pierce. You do. Yeah. Okay. Are you Achane still chill? Yeah, Achane hopefully is coming back. So listen, Tyler Lockett. So I did a crisis point on him last week. In that video, I said my hope is that that once DK Metcalf came back and started drawing coverage away, Lockett would respond, and he did. 8 for 81 in a score. So he's got 3 touchdowns. Can he keep the streak going of at least 8? He's done it each of the last 5 years. No other receiver has done it. No receiver's done it the last 4 years, and he's done it for 5. DK Metcalf's 5 for 67. Lockett has a better chemistry with Geno Smith than does DK Metcalf. It's just a fact. Okay. And Jackson Smith and Jigba is eating out some of the workload of those two guys. 3 for 36 in a score. Noah Fant 2 for 32. Listen, Amari Cooper 6 for 89. David Njoku 4 for 77. Do they get back Deshaun Watson next week? We got to see. Why did the Giants trade? All right, they traded Leonard Williams because he's a free agent at the end of the year. It's going to free up salary cap space. And listen, they got a 2nd-round pick. I even thought just a 2nd-round pick would be good. They got a 5th as well. I thought that was a really good trade. Kenneth Walker, 8 for 66, a dud for him. He's been really good. So listen, we got to overlook that. It was a tough defense. I don't have any problem with that. Cincinnati Bengals got it done. Joe Burrow is back. No more talk about the calf. He was running well. Jamar Chase did his thing. Christian McCaffrey scored twice for the 49ers. Brock Purdy continues to struggle, but he's getting George Kittle involved. A lot of fireworks in this game offensively, but the 49ers all of a sudden now have lost 3 straight, and that is concerning for this team going forward. JSN or Rashee Rice, rest of season, Rashee Rice, 100%. Absolutely Rashee Rice. I don't think there's any question about that. Have to start Damian Pierce and Foreman for week 9. Going to flex Taysom Hill and pick up a tight end. Who would you target? No running backs. No great. Thanks, boss. McBride. You got to pick up McBride or Logan Thomas. This is like the tight end waiver, and we're going to do waivers tomorrow. But Taysom Hill, and I'll firm up my list on who I think should be number 1 overall. And then among the tight ends, because you have Logan Thomas, Taysom Hill, and McBride. Now, McBride would be my first choice. Then it's Hill and Thomas next. Stafford UCL sprain day to day. I don't think he's playing this week, John. I seriously doubt they're going to risk him with a bye on tap the following week. I could be wrong. Geno or Kyler. Geno not playing great. He's been topping out at 17 fantasy points. I would go, it's a tough matchup against Cleveland. Who's Seattle playing? Let me know who Seattle's playing. If it's a good matchup, I probably still would go Geno just because there'll be some rust with Kyler. I need 34 points total from Adam, Jacobs, and Laporta. It's 11.5. Oh, yeah, you should get that. I don't think there's any question you'll get that. Does London stock rise with Heineke? Yes. So Taylor Heineke, listen, he's a limited quarterback, right? He's good in short spurts. He's like Case Keenum, right? Guy who comes off the bench, hair on fire, throws the ball all over the lot, doesn't care about turnovers, and fairly accurate, which he is. That's going to help all of the Atlanta receivers, but he's not calling the plays, so it's still up to Arthur Smith to a point. How good will Levis be? Listen, he's going to go through struggles. The defensive coordinators are going to town already on that film from yesterday, but he's got the weapons, legs, arm to be an impactful player right away, as we saw yesterday. Whew. All right, guys, I think I'm going to jump out here. It's been about an hour, so I'm going to jump out. Got some stuff to do the rest of the evening. Thank you for coming on and viewing the stream. Thank you for the super chats. And yes, Tim, Amon-Ra is good to go. And you were not talking about the Giants. I can't do it. It was that was just brutal. I'm going to probably put up some videos tonight. I'm going to have a video tomorrow morning on the Monday night game, so look for that. Some more Crisis Point videos I'm going to work on, so there will be that. And there will be a stream tomorrow, Waiver Wire Tuesday, Happy Halloween, and Trade Deadline Tuesday. So I will check in with you guys tomorrow. Have a great evening, guys. Take care.